Drums beat hard in the night, not for dance, not for joy. The sound shakes the ground and breaks sleep. Doors open. Feet step out into the dark. Voices whisper, "This is not a festival drum. This is a warning." The drums grow louder, faster, urgent. Then fire rises. Flames leap high and wild. They swallow the royal hut. Smoke rolls through the air. Sparks fly like angry spirits. A cry cuts through the noise. "Protect the king." Men rush forward. Buckets pass from hand to hand. The heat pushes them back. Smoke spreads across the compound. It bites the eyes. It steals the breath. Soldiers run without order. Spears knock against shields. One stumbles. Another shouts, "Who lit the fire?" No one answers. Feet pound the earth. Commands clash in the air. Fear moves faster than flame. Villagers gather. Elders grip their staffs tight. Women hold their wrappers close. "What curse is this?" Someone cries. Children press against their mothers. The drums do not stop. From the burning hut, men carry a body. The king hangs between them. His robe is black with ash. His breath is weak. He coughs. He fights for air. The crowd leans closer. His lips move. A single name slips out, Celica. Silence cracks the noise. The name spreads through the people like wind through dry grass. Someone repeats, "Did he blame her?" Another gasps. Eyes shift. Feet step back. A guard lifts his spear high. His voice shakes but stays loud. "Who did this?" The question hangs heavy. No answer comes. Only smoke. Then a whisper rises from the edge of the crowd. "The queen." Another voice follows. "She wanted power." The whispers grow. They twist and turn. The queen, power, fire. The words mix with fear. But an elder shakes his head. His staff hits the ground once. No, she would never betray the throne. His voice is firm. Still, doubt moves through the people like a shadow out of the smoke. A figure walks forward. Slow, steady ash falls around her. Her steps do not rush. Her face shows no tears, no panic, only calm. A woman murmurs, "Why does she not cry?" Soldiers look at one another. Spears lower inch by inch. The drums begin to slow. The crowd waits. She stops before them. She looks at the king's still body. She looks at the people. Her voice rises above the crackle of fire. The king is gone. The words fall heavy. Then she says, "I rule now." No long speech. No trembling. Only command. The drums stop at once. The night grows thick. Even the fire seems too quiet. No one moves. No one dares. A child whispers, "Is she our new ruler?" An elder answers softly, "The night has changed the kingdom." Smoke climbs into the sky. The flames shrink but still glow red. The people stand between fear and silence. Something has ended. Something else has begun. The fire burns low. Ash covers the ground like gray snow. The drums fade into memory, but this is not where her story began. Before the flames. Before the crown. Before the whisper of blame. The smoke drifts higher and time turns back. The drums soften. The fire becomes a shadow of the past. One question rises above all others. How did she rise so high? She was born outside the palace walls. No drums welcomed her. No praise songs rose for her name. Only the ring of iron and the smell of smoke marked her first days. Women whispered as she passed, "She is only a blacksmith's child. She will always stay in the dust." She heard them. She gave no reply. She carried water. She gathered coal. She answered with silence, not shame. In the forge, sparks flew like tiny stars. Hammer struck iron again and again. The sound was steady and strong. "Strength shapes metal," her father said, lifting the hammer high. "And minds shape kingdoms," she replied, watching the iron bend. The hammer paused. Then it fell again. Harder she grew with the sound of steel. She learned how heat softens what seems hard. She learned how force gives shape. In the village square, men argued over land and cattle. Voices rose. Fingers pointed. Promises broke. She stood at the edge, quiet. "Why so silent?" an elder asked, tapping his staff. "Words are tools," she said. "I use them well." The elder studied her. The men kept shouting. She kept listening. Under the wide arms of the baobab tree, chiefs boasted of power. They laughed loud. They spoke of strength and glory. She leaned close to a friend and whispered, "Pride blinds leaders." The friend frowned. "Careful. Ears are everywhere." She only watched. Then the drums changed their beat. Slow, heavy, urgent. Drummers walked through the paths, calling the people. "The king is ill," a traitor muttered. "The king grows weak." She stood still. Her eyes sharpened. A weak throne shakes the whole kingdom. She stored the news in her mind like gold in a pouch. Days later, the prince rode through the market. He smiled at children. He waved at traitors. A woman sighed. "He is kind." "Kind is not strong," she muttered. "Not far away. Soldiers trained in the dust. A general barked orders, spears thrust forward, shields locked tight. A kingdom survives by force, he said. She watched him closely. He believed in steel more than smiles. An old woman sat near the herbs and roots. Her eyes were wise and deep. She poured crushed leaves into a bowl. Power eats the heart, the old woman warned. Only if the heart is weak, she answered. The old woman shook her head slowly. Fire warms, fire also burns. Before more could be said, chaos broke loose. Raiders stormed the market. Stalls crashed. Goats scattered. People screamed, "Run!" The prince's horse reared. He fell hard to the ground. A blade flashed toward him. She did not freeze. She grabbed a fallen spear. "Stay back," a man shouted. She ran toward danger. Steel clashed in broad daylight. She blocked the blade. The force pushed her back, but she held firm. She thrust the spear forward. The raider stumbled. She pulled the prince up by his arm and dragged him away from the strike. He gasped for breath. "Why risk your life?" "Because weak kings bring war," she said. He stared at her. No answer came. The raiders fled as soldiers rushed in. Dust settled. Whispers rose. Drummers carried the news to the palace. The sound reached the sick king. A messenger knelt low. "A blacksmith's daughter saved your son." The king listened. His eyes grew bright despite his weakness. Soon she walked into the royal court. Robes brushed the floor. Gold shone in the light. Courtiers whispered, "She does not bow low. She stands too straight." The king studied her sharp eyes. "What makes a ruler strong?" he asked. "Fear keeps enemies away," she answered without delay. The court gasped. "She speaks too freely," a noble muttered. The king raised his hand. Silence fell, she continued. "Kindness invites danger." The king leaned forward. His fingers tapped his throne. He did not smile. He did not frown. He thought. The prince watched her closely. "You speak of fear to Isili," he whispered later. "Peace needs protection," she replied. He looked unsure. She did not. Then drums beat again. Not for illness. Not for battle. For union, but not the prince. The king himself took her hand. The crowd murmured. "She rises fast. She climbs like fire on dry grass." The old woman sighed, watching from afar. "Fire has entered the palace." She smiled faintly. Not wide, not proud, just certain. The crown changed her steps. She walked with new weight. Servants bowed lower than before. "The kingdom must grow stronger," she said. Her voice grew firmer. Her eyes grew colder. Soft words became sharp commands. Power began its quiet work. She ordered stricter guards at the gates. More patrols at night. A courtier whispered, "She rules already." The old woman came once more. "Remember who you were?" "I remember who I must become," she answered. The palace doors closed behind her. The sound echoed long and deep, anew. Queen stood where a blacksmith's child once walked. The story moved forward like a drumbeat in the night. One question rose. Above all others, how far will she go? New taxes fall like heavy rain. Town criers call loud and sharp. More grain for the crown? Farmers raise their hands, faces red with sweat and worry. "We have little left," they shout. Voices clash, anger rolls across the streets. No one listens except those who enforce the law. Justice turns harsh and public. A thief is dragged into the square. The crowd leans in. A guard steps forward. Let this be a warning. The blade falls. Gasps ripple through the people. Some avert their eyes. Some whisper prayers. Fear tastes bitter in every mouth. Night swallows the rebels. Doors bang softly in the darkness. Soldiers move like shadows. "Take him quietly," a voice hisses. By morning, the beds are empty. The missing are spoken of in hushed tones. Whispers stretch across villages like smoke. Drums beat for law, not for dance. At sunrise, the rhythm rises, sharp and commanding. A child asks, "Is there a festival?" The answer is quiet but firm. No, it is a command. The people listen, muscles tight, hearts unsure. General Biko bows concern in his eyes. The people are afraid. The words are met with calm resolve. "Good fear builds strong walls," comes the reply. A nod of understanding. Silence. Fear moves through the marketplace, settling over traders and villagers alike. Voices drop to whispers. The queen sees all. One woman says. Prince Cato steps forward, anger rolling off him. He confronts her in the hall. "This is not the kingdom my father built." He stands firm. A calm but cold reply cuts through the tension. "Your father built weakness." His hands clench. His face tightens. A rift grows. "You are breaking the people," he warns. "I am saving them," comes the sharp answer. The walls seem to echo with unspoken power. The prince is sent away. "You will train in the north." The words are final. A frown crosses his face. "Or be removed." Soldiers guide him out. His departure leaves the hall heavier. Rumors begin to spread like smoke. Messengers whisper through the streets. The elders plot. Village leaders shake their heads. We seek only peace, they insist. Zalika turns Biko against the council. Soft words, dangerous seeds. They question your loyalty. He grips his spear tighter. Guards block the council hut. By the queen's order, a voice announces. Old council members lose their seats. Power shifts in quiet, decisive strikes. Elders gather under the baobab tree. Staffs strike the ground in anger. Mama Safiya speaks, voice heavy with warning. A ruler who grips too tight loses everything. The words stir the leaves and hearts alike. A spy kneels before Zalika. They meet in secret, he reports. Dawn is broken by arrests. Soldiers storm homes. Mama Safiya cries, truth cannot be chained. The king suddenly falls ill. Coughs echo through the court. He grasps for breath. A healer whispers, this sickness is strange. Dark whispers fill the palace. Poison, one says. Witchcraft, another murmurs. The queen, comes a third voice heavy with fear. She stands by his bed. Hands hold his, steady and unflinching. Courtiers watch her closely. The king speaks his final words. Breath shallow, eyes dim. Power is fire. The words linger, sharp and heavy. His hand falls still. A drum beats once. A slow, morning pulse. Eyes turn toward her. What happens now? A noble asks softly. Soldiers wait. The hall waits. The kingdom waits. The throne stands empty. No prince at its side. The royal stool sits alone, carved and silent. Only one ruler remains. She steps forward. .com/steady, unshaken. The voice of the storyteller rises above the whispers and drums. Now, there is no king. Only Queen Zalika. The hall is quiet. The people hold their breath. Power has shifted. Fear and command now flow from a single heart, and the story moves onward. The elders gather, hands raised over bowls of water, smoke curling from sacred herbs. They chant, voices low and steady, calling for blessings from the ancestors. Before their words can reach the first drumbeat, a figure steps forward, calm and unyielding. A priest gasps, eyes wide. The drums have not blessed this. The words hang heavy in the air. Silence answers. The room waits. The crown lifts high, heavy with history and expectation. Fingers close around the gold. A voice rings out, sharp and certain. The kingdom needs strength, not tears. The hall falls silent. Even the wind seems to pause, listening. Tradition bends but does not break. Yet it watches. Uneasy whispers thread through the circle of elders. This breaks our way, one murmurs, voice trembling. A guard steps close, voice firm, echoing authority. The queen has spoken. The shift is clear. The old ways retreat, hesitant but not yet gone. Under the veil of night, warriors kneel in shadows. Eyes glint in torchlight. Hands pressed to the ground in oath. You answer only to me. The command is given. Loyalty is sealed with quiet, unbroken promises. A secret guard is born, bound to one will, silent and unwavering. New guards march, faces stern, steps measured. Old corridors hum with fresh vigilance. Even walls have ears now, a servant whispers, voice barely audible. The palace tightens around the crown, each passage watched, each door a sentinel. Clouds drift across the sky, pale and dry. No waterfalls. Farmers lift their hands in silent plea. The land is dry, they sigh. Their words carry like smoke across cracked earth. The soil hardens, crops wither, and hope falters. Corn stalks crack under the sun's relentless gaze. We cannot feed our children. One voice cries, bitter and sharp. The fields offer nothing. Hunger grows loud, filling villages with whimpers and sighs. Mothers clutch empty bowls. Has the queen angered the spirits? One whispers, fear threading the words. Traitors argue, voices sharp as spears. Her harsh rule brought this curse, one declares. Others nod, fear twisting their faces. Rumor spreads like wildfire, threading through the markets and homes. Blame circles the throne, heavy and unyielding. A figure moves in silence, slipping through gates, careful and unrecognized. Who goes there? A guard demands. A son of this land, comes the soft reply. The prince returns, quiet as shadow, carrying fire in his heart. Torches burn low as two figures meet in a courtyard, hushed with tension. One voice cuts the night. Will you serve fear forever? A measured answer follows, firm and unwavering. Fear keeps order. The words hang between them, sharp as blades. Steps come closer, conviction heavy, or kills it. The reply is steady, firm. Grip on the spear loosens. Doubt begins to stir where loyalty once reigned unquestioned. Murmurs rise. The people suffer, is muttered. Then stand with them comes the command that turns uncertainty into action. A staff strikes the earth. sound echoing across the square. No ruler stands above the people. The words are strong, filled with warning. Boots pound in answer. Soldiers rush, intent clear. By the queen's command, orders a captain. Resistance meets force. The elder lifts her chin, eyes bright and steady. Truth does not kneel. Chains clink. Guards pull, but the voice remains unbroken. The throne shakes. The words scatter across the village, carried by wind and whispers. Did you hear her? Voices ask. The ground does feel unsteady, comes the reply. Fear and hope mix in the air. Secret talks flare in huts and fields. Torches burn longer, casting long shadows over gathered villagers. The shift ripples outward. The palace walls seem smaller, tighter, watched. Eyes glance toward the streets. The people gather in groups. A guard warns. Tension coils like dust in the wind, heavy and restless. Drums beat uneven. Warning, not for celebration. Each pulse echoes across the land, calling attention to hearts that stir with uncertainty. The kingdom teeters, the balance fragile. The voice of the storyteller rises. The kingdom stands at the edge of rebellion. Eyes turn, hands tighten, and the night waits for the next move. Torches blaze along the village paths, fire tossing shadows high into the night. Villagers march forward, voices rising in anger and hope. No more fear. A man shouts and the words travel like sparks through the crowd. Flames twist against the darkness, marking every step with light and warning. Drums thunder across the land, deep and rolling. Their beat shakes hearts louder than any voice. An elder leans close to another, murmuring, "These are not drums of dance." The rhythm calls for action, for courage, for reckoning. A figure raises a hand to the crowd, calm but firm. "We stand for justice." The voice cuts through the night. Faces turn upward, eyes burning with resolve. Every step feels heavier, yet the momentum cannot be stopped. Spears rise at the gates, crossed in warning. A captain's voice rings out, sharp and unyielding. Step back or face steel. The tension tightens, stretching every heartbeat. A commander stands still, caught between the will of the crown and the cries of the people. "Who do we obey?" a soldier asks, voice trembling under the weight of choice. Every second presses against loyalty, honor, and fear. Above the gates, a ruler watches. Calm and tall. She surveys the crowd. "They are many," a servant whispers. "Fear will scatter them," comes the reply, steady and certain. Unbroken by the roar below. Footsteps echo along the hall, deliberate and measured. He enters, bowing slightly but not fully. Authority meets responsibility. Every step carries the weight of decision. Every shadow holds a question. The demand is sharp, spoken into the quiet tension. They demand you step down. Calm ripples in response. "And you?" The question hangs like smoke. The answer comes with resolve. "I demand justice." The air thickens, heavy with anticipation. Words like stones, they fall into the silence between duty and defiance. A secret is revealed, quiet yet explosive. "I know the king was poisoned." The words hiss between them. Silence stretches unbroken, as if the room itself holds its breath. The response is cold, measured. "He was weak. The kingdom would fall." Acceptance of truth cuts sharper than any blade. A whispered reckoning follows. "You chose power. I chose strength." The tension tightens. Chains of words, binding the will to the weight of consequence. Palace doors burst open. One steps forward, strides without hesitation to the royal stool. Purpose and courage mark every step. A confrontation long awaited unfolds. "You chose power over love. I chose survival." Two wills collide, each unyielding, each driven by vision and sacrifice. The guards shift, division breaking the line. Some kneel, some rise. "Choose now." The command slices through the space between loyalty and fear. Steel meets steel. Spears strike, shields, torches crash to stone. Noise erupts like thunder, filling the room with chaos. A voice cuts through the clamor. "Enough blood." Some weapons drop, others hesitate. Authority wavers, morality confronts duty. A cry rises, pleading and desperate. "Run." The answer is stillness. She will not flee. She will not bow. Above the fray, a voice rings clear. "If I fall as queen." Defiance solidifies into resolve, unbroken by the clash around her. The crown rolls across the stone, heavy and golden. A hand reaches, and it is taken from her grasp. Authority slips, yet dignity remains unshaken. Hands are bound. She is seized. The crowd surges, eyes wide, hearts thundering with the weight of what has passed. Then silence falls. The drums cease. Only the echoes remain. One stands before the throne, eyes steady, hands unclenched. The voice of history declares, "The night has chosen its ruler." The elders gather beneath the baobab tree, staffs striking the ground in silent rhythm. Drums beat once, low and deliberate, calling the people to judgment. The air trembles with anticipation, every heartbeat echoing the weight of the moment she is brought forward. Unbound, standing tall against the whispers that snake through the crowd. She still stands tall, a villager murmurs, voice caught between awe and fear. Her posture is unwavering, eyes steady, calm in the face of countless judgments. Voices erupt, some loud and jagged. Blood must answer blood. A warrior shouts, striking his staff against the earth. Other elders pound theirs in agreement. The sound, a drumbeat of wrath and anger, rising above the soft rustle of fear in the crowd. Yet others plead for restraint. Let her live without power. A woman cries, tears glinting in the sun. An elder nods slowly, voice like weathered stone. Exile is its own prison. The words hang heavy, a quiet punishment that cuts as sharply as any blade. All eyes shift toward him. A child tilts her head, small fingers gripping her mother's sleeve. Will he show mercy? Her question drifts over the murmurs, fragile but piercing. The weight of a kingdom presses on him. He steps forward, hand raised high, silence following his movement like a shadow. We will not rule with revenge. The voice rings clear, steady, carrying through the crowd. The drumbeats pause, letting the declaration land. A ripple spreads through the gathered people. Murmurs stir like wind through tall grass. Let justice be clean, not cruel, an elder adds, grounding the words with the authority of age and tradition. The crowd leans in, hope and disbelief twisting together. A guard lifts the crown from her head, the metal catching the light once, gleaming like a star fallen to earth. Silence follows its removal, heavier than any shout, more absolute than any command. Her fingers release the royal staff, a slow and deliberate letting go. Her grip is gone. A soldier whispers, almost to himself, eyes tracing the space where power once rested. The sentence is spoken, but unyielding. You will leave this land. Her reply is quiet, firm, carrying dignity beyond the throne. A queen needs no throne. She walks forward, unbound and unchained. No drums mark her steps. No guards push her along. Only the soft shuffle of her feet and the hush of the world follow. The palace doors close slowly behind her, each thud sealing an era. A woman exhales long and low. It is over, she says, voice carrying relief and finality. A general kneels, laying down the weight of steel and duty. I served fear too long, he admits, voice heavy with the truth of years. The new ruler speaks words, steady as stone. Serve the people now. The general removes his beads of command, letting them fall to the ground. Obedience shifts, loyalty reshaped by justice. Chains clink to the floor. The elder raises her staff once more. Truth has returned, she declares, voice ringing clear, echoing across the market and the open fields. Market voices rise like a swell of wind. Spears lower slowly, eyes turning toward the people once more. The tension in the air softens, replaced by a cautious breathing of relief. A single drop of rain falls. A child looks up, small lips curving into a smile. Thunder rolls softly, a drum of its own in the skies above. Hands stretched toward the heavens, fingers splayed to catch the first drops. The elders whisper together. The land forgives. Dust rises in the wind, then washes away, leaving a quiet promise behind. The throne bears a new presence. Eyes of the people watching, cautious but hopeful. Change has come, but memory lingers, shaping each gesture, each word, each command. The lesson echoes across the land. Power without mercy falls. The elder intones voice carrying through villages, over fields, and into hearts. Drums beat again, this time for hope, for justice, and for the people who endure. The baobab tree stands silent, its branches heavy with memory. The wind whispers through the leaves as an elder's voice rises, steady and certain. Fear builds fast, but it breaks faster. Each word lands like a drumbeat, echoing across the open land, stirring hearts that once trembled in silence. A mother bends to a child, small hands clasped in wonder and curiosity. Power gained through fear cannot last, she says softly. The child tilts her head, eyes wide. Why? She asks. The answer flows like water over stone. Because hearts will rise. The truth settles into the child's chest, shaping understanding before the next breath is drawn. Warriors lower their spears, shoulders relaxing, eyes shifting from rigid pride to reflection. Strength alone is not enough, one murmurs, voice rough with experience. Another adds, strength without mercy becomes weakness. The words carry weight, folding into the minds of those who once believed fear was the only law. The throne feels lighter now. Calm spreads across the royal presence. A ruler must guard the people, not rule their breath, a voice declares, measured and deliberate. No shout follows, only the quiet certainty that the lesson is learned, and the air itself seems less heavy. The market finds its voice once more. Laughter rises above the stalls, unshaken by whispers or suspicion. "We speak freely now," a man says, his grin wide, carrying the relief of years pent up and finally released. Merchants nod, neighbors chatter, and the rhythm of daily life regains its rightful pulse. A staff taps against the ground, sharp and deliberate. "A leader must protect hearts," comes the voice of wisdom, echoing over the renewed chatter. "Not control them?" The words settle like seeds, destined to grow in every heart that hears them. Children hear the story of iron and fire in the night, voices low but wide-eyed. "She ruled with an iron fist," a father tells them, tone-weary eyes, reflecting both and fear. The story is caution, remembrance, and warning woven together. Carried into every corner of the land, a woman recalls the moments of upheaval, shaking her head slowly. "It was not swords that ended her." A man beside her nods, voice firm. "It was our voices." The truth resonates, simple and undeniable, carried on the winds of memory and shared experience. Drums beat once, not for battle, not for fear, but in unity. The rhythm spreads through the crowd, hands clapping, feet stamping, voices joining together. "The land belongs to us all," they chant. The sound rises like a tide, unstoppable, pure in its power and purpose. An elder lifts a hand, voice carrying across the fields and into hearts far and wide. The strongest wall is trust. Silence follows, but it is not emptiness. It is full of understanding, of lessons learned, of voices joined in triumph. And in the end, the people's voice breaks her grip, shaping a kingdom stronger than iron, stronger than fear, stronger than any crown.